Thanks for joining. Thanks for organizing to RMIC, and thanks for the invitation as well. So here we are at 2:40 p.m. sharp. So we shall start now. I share my screen. Right. Okay. So before we proceed any further, I usually do talks via Associate Professor Mazlina. So we have created a WhatsApp group for UPSI students and UPSI researchers lah. So if anyone interested to be in a WhatsApp group dedicated for UPSI, here is the WhatsApp group. Okay, so that all future classes that we design for UPSI, free classes, we will be sharing in this particular group. So if anyone interested, they can join into the group, tune into the group. So that's that. I already shared in the chat box. So apart from that, today we are going to focus on this is basically a class that I carried out for graduate students recently. Okay, specifically focusing on writing a review paper as an alternative to empirical paper writing. Okay, so because empirical paper writing, sometimes we got to wait until we get our data, and well, that limits the amount of papers that we can extract from a PhD or master's thesis. So therefore, today we're going to strategize and look at what are the other kind of papers that we can write from a proposal or thesis, because end of the day, most of the publication will come from a master's or PhD thesis. So we're going to try and maximize what other kind of papers that we can actually produce, right? So that's the whole intention of the class today. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to skip this. So I am the founder, and I'm the founder of Proofreading by UK PhD. We are based at Cyberjaya. We are an ISO 9001-2015 certified academic consulting firm, also endorsed and recognized by SFEP and HRDF Malaysia, Human Resource Ministry. We are currently operating in about 34 different countries. Those are all the pins that we have clients from. We have stretched as far as South America already. We are the official proofreader, and we also completed MOU with the following institutions. So for today's class, we are going to focus specifically on publication, and more specifically on how to convert thesis to journal, and when do we convert those. Okay, so as the class goes on, if you have any questions whatsoever, please kindly type down in the chat box. Yeah. Okay. So just a quick overview, okay, of our complete playlist. Okay, complete playlist of classes. In case, especially for, I think there will be many supervisors today. In case if you want to give like learning resources to your students, to make, of course, to make your life easier. I have about 129 classes now, all collected on my Facebook page playlist. These are some of those examples. So in case if you want to share with them, let me just quickly show that. So this is our Facebook page. Let me share the link in the chat box. Okay, so from here we share a lot of resources on daily basis. Okay, daily basis will be posting important contents, important papers that will really help towards designing or help towards constructing a proper proposal, publication, and so on and so forth. So these are all daily content that we share. And we also have many free classes under our video tab. So this is a playlist with 129 videos. You see all. And from here, we can find a lot of classes, especially on proposal writing, thesis writing, section by section, introduction, background, problem statement, literature review, part 1, part 2, how to structure a complete thesis, how to publish in high impact journal, how to write a review journal before proposal defense, bits and pieces, things that focuses onto the struggle of a common researcher. Where do they actually have problems with? So I break that down and I conduct frequent classes. I've saved all those classes. Research question design. We have many problem statement classes because that is majority of the time students having problem. I think as supervisors, you guys know better. Um, and so on and so forth. So theoretical framework, conceptual framework. So these kind of things. So all of this can be found in my Facebook page. So in case if you want your student to be able to learn quickly and move forward, you can recommend them to come and learn all these free, you can learn from all these free classes here. And also apart from that, I also share a lot of unique templates. Okay, so let me just move this. So I share a lot of unique templates, which databases to search papers from, how to critically review a paper, how to summarize a paper for literature review, how to build literature matrix, how to write their problem statement, how to construct. Today we'll be looking at this systematic literature review, inclusion exclusion criteria template, table of content for chapter 2. We have more, we have full thesis table of content, pilot study processes, proposal defense and viva, common questions for those, database hierarchy for literature review, and so on and so forth. So we have more, but these are some of the important ones that I'm sharing here. So all of this can be downloaded from this particular link. So let me share that link as well. So that is the link, link3/Dr. Thava. So that will take us to all the currently readily available resources. So these are all the resources. These are all the upcoming, these are completed Facebook classes. These are upcoming Facebook classes. How to conduct literature matrix with Google Scholar, how to conduct literature matrix with leakmap.ai, an AI tool, very good AI tool. Then also all our services can be found here, TikTok, Telegram group, all the free video classes, they can access all directly via this link, all the free notes as well. So for the templates, one has to go to Telegram group. We have about 14,500 members in our Telegram group. So from here, all the templates can be found. So templates for UPSI. So all the templates can be downloaded here. In case if you have trouble joining the Telegram group, please let me know. Then we also, for today's class, we also be looking at, we'll be sharing these resources. That would be the protocol template for systematic review. So these are all protocols that can be modified in Word version. Stellar protocol template. And also systematic review process in 12 steps. So in case if you are interested in systematic review, these 12 steps will easily tell you what you need to do in every step when you're producing a systematic review. 12-step systematic review processes. So all of this can be downloaded here. Feel free to download. You can also encourage your students or colleagues to come and join this Telegram group because it's a very good resource center where you can also collect data. So this is not a channel. It's a community where you can ask questions, share knowledge, share your publication, collect data, quali, look for respondents, and so on and so forth. So this is the role of this Telegram group. The WhatsApp group I've shared already, that's for communications. Okay, so that is all. For today's class, we are going to look at 5 important sections. I need to highlight that today's class, we are also going to look at AI, but this particular AI is not It's actually the other side of the coin. We're not going to look at the advantage of using AI. We are going to look at the amount of issues that will come up when we are using AI, or the AI issues that most of us are unaware of. Then I have another class which will come up with UPSI via Sheikh Professor Mazlina. That will be in December. In that class, I'll be teaching how to conduct literature review with AI too. That will be a positive AI related class. Okay, but today we're going to talk about the shortcoming of AIs here. So we're going to look at why systematic review and where to publish them, types of review papers, systematic review process, AI for thesis and journals, when to write SLR papers. Okay, so this is for students who have never joined our previous classes. So this one we can skip. Okay, so types of journal papers. Conventionally, okay, the convention is always to write an original research paper. Okay, this is a commonality because empirical paper is the most common kind, whether it's via software modeling, experimental, quasi-experimental, quantitative, qualitative, mathematical derivatives, all those kind of elements that will create physical data or numerical data that essentially will become an original research paper. So today we are going to dive into something else. We're going to look at review articles. So these two we're going to ignore. These are some other types of papers that we can write. But primarily today, we're going to look at review articles. How do we stretch our publication list or our publication persona? Okay, so let's say if that is a persona or publication list, our profile, how can we stretch it? How can we improve our H index? Because stats says that review papers can get you more citations, and it's actually proven. I've seen people with probably almost thousands of publications, okay, professors, where some of their most highly cited papers are actually review papers, generally speaking lah. So therefore, review papers has far more benefits than we can actually realize, especially if you want to improve H index. So I strongly encourage, if review paper is not within your purview or you haven't started yet, because writing review paper can be very messy. And actually requires more effort than writing an empirical paper. Empirical means experimental, quali, quanti, all these kind of papers. That is much easier to write, if you ask me, from my personal experience, because it's straightforward. The template is always this, almost not always, almost the same. As long as you have data, you have analyzed, writing it down and getting convincing reviewers are far more easier compared to getting review papers to publish. So we have a lot of challenges when it comes to review papers lah. On the other hand, the trade-off is when you want to write review paper, you don't need to spend time, spend money collecting data, working on models, and working on experimental systems and so on and so forth. And you can go very high impact papers. Not going to be easy, but it is definitely doable. Okay, so let's go to why systematic review. Okay, so before going to systematic review, I have personally published my own paper, review paper, in IEEE Wireless Magazine. Impact factor, the last time I checked, was 11.7. Okay, but it required more work than an empirical paper. So given my experience, and that is my second most highly cited paper in my entire Google Scholar profile. So it really brings a lot of benefit. So on that note, when we go into systematic review, the origin comes from 1753 by James Lee. Just a bit of historical background. Between 1970 and 1980, it received more attention, especially in medical sciences. Actually, systematic review mostly originated from medical sciences, the expansion of systematic review, the introduction of scoping review, Cochrane review, all these kind of different types of complex review methods were mostly introduced in medical sciences, health sciences related research, because literature review precision is very, very important for them, as obviously they got to do with human lives. And why do we actually need systematic review? Okay, these are the obvious reasons. Clear and comprehensive over available literature can be very comprehensive, helps identify a research gap, able to highlight methodological concerns for future work, able to gain critical skills by conducting SLR. How? I'm going to leave this later because I have more better ways to explain this. So this one we're gonna just basic stuff. We will dive into this later on in our 12 steps processes. Okay, so before we go for systematic review journals, before we write them, we also need to understand that submitting to journals is another challenge. Okay, not all journals will favor review papers. Some are very pro empirical papers because that is the first level journal always. Review papers had been quite active recently from my observation, especially in all subject areas. Still some very technical subject areas. Review paper is not really that favored, but in the area of medical sciences, obviously, it is part of their journey. Social science is really picking up now, business management, accounting, and all the other areas. Information sciences also, yes, it's picking up very well. Computer science also, engineering, definitely. Chemical is gradually getting there. Organic chemistry, we recently coached a paper on organic chemistry. It's under review now. It was not easy because very little resources under chemical area when it comes to review paper writing. So, having said that, when it comes to journal writing, first we need to identify whether the particular journal that we want to publish in, they actually accept review papers or not. Okay, that is the most important thing. So in this case, I've taken an example out of MDPI. I don't encourage MDPI nowadays, but just that MDPI websites are quite comprehensive, quite clear. So they know what their customers, no, they will always inform their customers what exactly they want. Okay. But for time being, I would encourage not to submit to MDPI given its reputation. It won't really look very nice on your CV also, given the situation in China, Indonesia, Malaysia. Also, we got notification from MOHE and so on. So when we look at this kind of example from MDPI website, this is from Education Sciences, we can see very clearly that they have already categorized two kind of papers that they'll accept. So one is articles, original research manuscripts. Okay, so this is very sure, they very clear. This one, they only accept empirical papers. Then comes to review papers. Okay, which they already clearly mentioned that they follow Prisma guidelines. So obviously systematic review. So it's very clear, very straightforward. This journal will accept review papers, so no problem for us whatsoever. Then you may stumble upon this kind of a paper, this kind of a journal. Journal of Business Research under Elsevier, Science Direct, okay, under Elsevier. The impact factor, I think, is 11 plus now, quite very strong journal, very good journal, Web of Science Q1. So when we read along the lines of the journal aims and scope, or any other sections, you cannot really find explanation. Only here you can find the explanation of this journal. Um, you may see the description saying, published for executives, researchers, and scholars alike. The journal aids the application of empirical research to practical situations and theoretical findings to the reality of the business world. So they look at three aspects of it: empirical research, practical situations, and theoretical findings. They never state whether they will accept review papers or not. So first question to all the participants today. Okay, so please focus here. A first question to all of you. From your point of view, from your experience, do you think this particular journal will accept review paper? You can advise whether yes or no, depending on your experience from what you read here. Please let me know in the chat box. Do you think this journal, this Elsevier journal, will allow or will accept review paper? Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so we don't have a no Anyone having a no? Okay, so we have first no. Okay, we have second no. Third no. Anyone else would like to participate, whether it's a yes or no? Okay. Okay. So, of course, today the class is for very experienced people. So, most of you say yes, and some of you say no. So, how do we determine whether yes or no? So, we cannot be writing a paper and then submit and gamble, right? So, how do we actually can determine the precision of our judgment? Okay, how we can we judge when they are not clear journal requirements? Some high profile journals, they won't be so clear. Okay, because they know one way or another people will find out and they will submit. It won't be like MDPI. MDPI is quite clear in what they want. So under those circumstances, very simple. Um, what I would usually do would be, so I'll always go to Google Scholar, and then I would go to advanced search. Okay, so under advanced search, it will be very easy to find out. So in this case, I would go with exact phrase, systematic review, and then I would search it under articles published in particular journal. I'll go to Journal of Business Research. So as per the name entails and exact phrase, I just want to find out. Yes, Dr. Yusuf, you can do that also. That is another way. Look in archive or latest issue. That also can be done. But I usually do this. Okay, exact phrase, systematic review, and written articles published in Journal of Business Research. And I hit the quick search button. And from there, I usually look at the most latest trending, what kind of papers they're publishing. And from there, we can actually analyze even what kind of papers uh, they are moving towards. Okay, so systematic review is for sure, they're accepting review papers. But what kind of common review papers they're accepting recently can also be seen from the recent publications when you filter according to the latest years. Okay, so that's the easiest way to find out also. Or you can follow what Dr. Yusuf said, look in archive and latest issue as well. Okay, so that is to determine in case for those who said no, if you are not entirely sure, that is a way to move forward. Okay, and then coming to some of the quick publications, fast publishing. Um, in case this one recently I shared also, it's not in this slide, but I shared on a Facebook post, especially Scopus journals. Okay, if you're looking for fast publication, and then no problem, Dr. Badrul, no problem. In case if you're wondering, submitting to a Scopus journal and then they respond very fast and then they say, okay, accepted, let's go pay the money and then we'll give you the comments. Some Scopus does that. Pay the fee and then we'll give you the comments, you revise and then you submit to us. You know, many happening like that. When that takes place, recently we encountered one particular journal. I posted about it also. Let me just quickly go for that. Okay, here. So we were very suspicious of this particular journal. So what we did or what you can actually do is you can directly email. This one especially very important for Scopus. Because journal review will take time. We are all very much aware of that, given our experience and so on. But sometimes we want quick publication, or some journals they really respond very fast. And then we realize that the review is not much, and they just accept as it is, or they'll tell you pay first, and then we'll give you all the comments and so on. Some journalists, they do that. So how can you further investigate? under those circumstances. Okay, so this is what we did recently. We emailed Scopus. For those who are unaware of this, you can actually email Scopus directly. So this is a suspicious Scopus journal, predatory journal. Uh, you can go to scopus.com and then you can directly inquire with them, and this is what they will respond. Okay, so this is a response from Scopus itself. So upon checking, the title Journal of Law and Sustainable Development is being re-evaluated by the Scopus Content Selection and Advisory Board. So basically, the journal is still under investigation. Okay, it's already under investigation and will take a couple of months before they can decide. Meanwhile, they will be still graded as Scopus. Okay, they won't be flagged anywhere. Even in scopus.com, if you go and check, it will be still shown as Scopus. So we mistakenly might submit, get it reviewed, and they'll review very fast because they know that they're under investigation. So they want to make the final bucks. Okay. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So we also we excited, accepted. So we pay and then we wait for the journal to be in Scopus. But the important point is content selection advisory board, we will take up to 3 months to complete. So if you're stuck within this 3 months period, you won't know that the journal is actually under investigation. You will never know. So as per Scopus policy, no missing content will be added until the review is complete. So let's say you submit and the journal already accepted and you paid already within that 3 months. Happened many times. I've seen many people go through this before. So that's why I've started this kind of process so that we can be at least somewhat. Sometimes Scopus won't reply. Sometimes we are lucky enough they'll reply. Okay. So that means within these 3 months, let's say you submitted to Journal of Law and Sustainable Development, and then they reviewed. Within 1 month, they tell you, okay, accepted, pay the money. You paid, let's say 500 USD example, let's put it there. And then they say, okay, done, accepted, finish. But after the 3 months, if the review fails, your paper will never be indexed in Scopus because they're already under investigation, unfortunately. That's how Scopus works. So even though when you submit the paper was already accepted during, it is still under Scopus, but it was actually under investigation, which we didn't know. So for those who are looking forward to publish Scopus, and if they respond very, very fast, they review very, very fast, please be aware. Something might be not right. Okay. They just want to do a final run, no final run for their money. Because once a journal is kicked out of Scopus, if I'm not mistaken, it will take 5 years for them to re-evaluate and and provide a re-entry for you. That's the right word, lah. And provide a re-entry for you back into the Scopus. It will take, as far as I know, last time I checked, it takes about 5 years. Probably now there's a change or not, I'm not so sure. But as far as I know, it takes about 5 years. So always be very, very, very careful when it comes to, especially Scopus journal, And after 3 months only, they'll go into the discontinued title list. Until then, it won't go into the list. Okay. So having said that, there are some legitimate journal that actually moves very fast. Not MDPI. I don't encourage this MDPI anymore, but it's totally up to you if you want to go for it. They're really fast. I think all of us know. I think the fastest I've published in my own paper in MDPI was in exactly 29 days. Accepted in 26 days, review 2 to 3 days, revision, and then submit back, and then they accepted within 29 days exactly, my clock lah. But there are some other journals which are considerably fast but expensive. IEEE Access, PLOS ONE, then we have scientific reports by Nature, scientific report by Nature. Then we have Helion by Elsevier. We also have Sage Open. Sage Open, not really fast, lah, but still better than free journals sometimes. Helion also not too bad, actually. So these are some of the journals that you can consider for fast publishing, but they cost a bomb. I think most of you know that. So example, IEEE Access, this is the last time I checked, was quite some time ago, was 1,850 USD. So these are all mostly Web of Science. Scopus, as far as I realize, most journals nowadays are all becoming open access. Predominantly, they are ruled by open access concept. Very little journals are free these days. The free ones in Scopus I can remember will be InterScience. InterScience is a good one. Under Scopus, most of the journals are under Scopus, not Web of Science yet. Not too bad, not too bad. So that is what I wanted to share in this slide. So what are the types of review papers that we can write? What are the types, that we can actually explore? So review styles, part one, these are all review papers that you can actually write. Okay, there are two different concepts here when it comes to review paper. So the blue color highlights narrative review. Okay, narrative review is the one that we usually do lah, the usual review that we normally apply in our, chapter two thesis proposal or normal review that we carry out without following any protocol whatsoever. So that is narrative review. The red color ones, these ones, are systematic review, systematic literature review lah. Okay, so these are the kinds of reviews that we can actually conduct. Okay, I won't go through all the details here, but I can share the slides if you guys want later. So under narrative review, you can write critical review, literature review, mixed studies review, mixed methods review, overview. You can select based on your requirements. What would you want to write? What kind of paper? Rapid review, state of the art review, umbrella review. So these are all under narrative review methodology. There is no exactly methodology lah. Narrative review, there is no method to follow. You just carry out your review, and whatever results you get is whatever results you get. That's why a narrative review is very much prone to very high percentage of bias, very high capacity of bias. So that's why narrative review within review paper itself, very, very tough to publish. Reviewers don't really favor narrative review due to its biasness or due to its incomprehensive coverage. However, when it comes to SLR, it's I wouldn't say 100% bias free, but it is quite robust. Okay, quite robust because of its protocol. There is a strict protocol that we need to follow. Strict, somewhat not as strict as medical. If you write systematic review in medical area, it's very, very strict comparatively to any other areas because you really have to follow 100% Prisma when normally comes to medical sciences. So these are the kind of papers you can write under systematic review: mapping review, systematic meta-analysis, qualitative systematic review, qualitative evidence synthesis. So some review papers you can build up thematic mapping. So this is the kind of paper, qualitative systematic review. You can build your thematic analysis under this kind of paper. And then you can also write very common systematic review paper, systematic search and review, systematized review. They have a bit of difference like in terms of functionality. And then there is another kind of paper called scoping review. Okay, so a bit more on scoping review in the coming slides. So let me just answer very quickly, Dr. Yusuf. Dr. Thava, what type of review paper would you advise to perform for beginner? Doctor, actually, if you want to start review paper, I would always advise to start writing systematic review paper. We used to consult and coach a lot of concept paper, Those days, when I started my firm, I will normally follow narrative review concept, but in the recent years, I have slowly migrated to systematic review. That means even concept paper, I started applying systematic method, and the results phenomenal. Okay, some papers we throw to Scopus systematic review concept paper. The moment we throw, like within 4 months, 5 months, we will get review, get acceptance, and so on. So not bad. Systematic review has its own merits, lah. Okay, which we cannot deny. Very through Dr. Lee, is it? Yeah. So SLR paper is multifunction. You can apply across the board. Dr. Hafizul, Dr. Thava, can we combine with bibliometric? I've seen some systematic review that combines with bibliometric. I've seen. Okay, SLR also combined with thematic analysis via Atlas, TI, and Vivo also I've seen. But it can get very complex. So is that kind of complexity required? Depending on your requirement. Okay, depending on your requirement, depending on how high spec you want to publish. If you want impact factor, back of science Q1, more than 6 or 7 impact factor, and so on, you can do those kind of combinations, but again, it's going to be very complex lah. Okay, so SLR paper, like what Dr. Lee just said, it's multifunctional. You can apply in various aspects of it as long as you follow the protocol. So you can do bibliometric as a combination of systematic review. Bibliometric stand alone, I won't say cannot publish, but it's definitely going to be tougher compared to systematic review. Okay, so there is also scoping review that you can look at. It is scoping review stands between narrative and systematic review. It stands in between. So it takes the good part from narrative review, it takes the good part from systematic review, and they combine both. Uh, in medical sciences also lah. So now scoping review is slowly. Last year I published a scoping review paper in a Q1 journal. We only reviewed, I think, after all the protocol filtration done, I think we only reviewed 24 papers and yet managed to get into Q1 paper, Q1 journal. So yeah, it's quite strong. It's also quite a scoping review. Um, any other types of reviews? Medical sciences have something called Cochrane review also, but it has no spreading yet towards other aspects of subject areas. There's another kind of review we experimented recently also, accepted, integrative review. It is slightly different from systematic review, but I would say I still prefer systematic review. The acceptance level is much better, much more familiarity, and some areas systematic review is still quite fresh, quite new, which will give you a very good edge to publish. Okay. So these are some of the sample review papers that we have worked on. We have consulted coach, some we have proofread and paraphrase and so on. So during that processes, I came to realization of very nice papers. Eventually, this is one of those papers. So if you have anyone from, I think we have many from social sciences, education, and so on. This is a very good paper for you to follow. If you want to look at the sample again, if you want to start writing, or if you're already writing, you're already publishing, you want to push it to the next level from Scopus to Web of Science, this is a very good example you can look at. From Dr. Kashif, my very old friend, very good friend, he worked on soft and hard TQM practices, future research agenda for Industry 4.0. Some time back, we worked on this paper. So you can find this paper in my Telegram group also. It's a very good paper to look at. One of the primary diagram that you must always have in your systematic review paper would be this. Okay, this is basically publication year versus volume. Okay, paper volume. So this will show the interest in your area, whether it's exponentially increasing or whether it's just a plateaued curve or whether it's saturating. This particular graph will tell you. So you can take the numbers from Web of Science, you can download the search from Web of Science, the data, you can download the data from Scopus, and then you can combine that. Once you combine all the search results and filtered results in Mendeley, in what do you call that, Exotero or EndNote, and then you can plot this particular graph, you can see how is it trending. And systematic review, usually they will stretch for quite some time. Okay, it's not the common review where we only stretch for 5 years. Systematic review, usually sometimes we will stretch up to 15 years, 20 years also to look at the necessary trend. Because systematic review, it's nice to talk about the trend also, the historical figure also. Okay, so it is different from the common narrative review. And then which databases normally we look at? Normally, my experience for social sciences, engineering, information sciences, computer science, and so on, normally Web of Science and Scopus are enough. Usually it's enough, lah. But if you want to add Google Scholar, you want to add Science Direct, you want to add what else? You want to add Emerald and so on, you can. But for me, it's not purposeful because Emerald, Science Direct, which is Elsevier, Taylor Francis, all these kind of databases, they are already indexed in Web of Science or Scopus. They will be one way or another. So that's why this already covered most of it. So normally, when I coach students when they write their papers, usually we'll just stick to Web of Science and Scopus. Unless they're from medical sciences, then we will add on PubMed. We'll add on PubMed also. So this is the database decisions. From there, we will decide on the search string. How do we build our search string? How we build our search string is absolutely important when it comes to paper searching. Okay, because it has to be detailed out in your writing. It has to be detailed out in your writing, what exact search string you're using, how you're combining it. The combination, sometimes you don't need to give. The algorithmic combination, you don't need to give. What Boolean you use, what symbols you use, what function operators you use, and so on. Not all the time we need to report, but sometimes reviewers may ask. But the keywords necessarily you need to mention. That one memang need to mention. Okay. Dr. Noor Shaidatina. The SLR, are you registered Prospero or other protocol back before? So Prospero usually for medical sciences lah. Okay. Any other areas they don't really use Prospero. There's also RCIF. You can also register in RCIF. RCIF if you want to. Prospero usually medical sciences. If you never register, so it's still okay. Okay, never register, still okay. But just that you're basically helping others to inform them that you have already done it. You have already done it, it's under review, so stop wasting your time doing similar to what I'm doing. That's the whole purpose of that's the whole purpose of Prospero, RCIF, and so on. But Prospero is very crucial for medical sciences. I think any other sciences is not really necessary, especially coming, looking at the current publication trend and so on. But if you want to do it, there's no harm. There is no harm. Okay, so once all the decision made, the next important thing you always must have in your paper is the protocol. Very, very, very important to have this. This diagram will tell you the entire algorithmic approach. We call this prototype. So before you start writing systematic review, there are three processes you need to follow. First, you must design the protocol. Okay, sorry, this is not the entire protocol. This is the entire journey of the systematic review paper. Protocol will include research question, um, uh, research question, keywords, inclusion, exclusion criteria, databases used, search string. If you want to show search string also you can. That is the first thing you need to design usually when it comes to paper. Then the second step is you can have an Excel file with all the papers that you can list down according to databases. So you can add additional tab. Let's say you got Scopus tab, Web of Science tab. You can have Google Scholar tab. Whatever paper you're searching and you're shortlisting it, you can add it into that Excel. And from there, you can start your review process. So this is how normally we'll strategize when it comes to systematic review paper. Okay, so this protocol here, this diagram here, in case if you want a copy of it, you can download it from here, from my Telegram group. Right here, this is what I shared earlier. So it's all editable diagram. It's slightly different, but you can edit it. You can reuse it if you want to. The files are here. It's directly downloaded from Prisma. So you can download a copy of that here. Okay, so if you have any medical sciences supervisors today who is working in health sciences and so on, this is another paper example that we proofread and paraphrase from UITM. This paper, the supervisors wrote two papers concurrently from a thesis. They had two systematic review and meta-analysis concurrently published in Australian Dental Journal. The only difference when it comes to meta-analysis is your statistical analysis. It's not straightforward, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. But if your aim is to publish in Web of Science and you have enough data to carry out meta-analysis, you can strongly consider looking at meta-analysis prospect as well. Dr. Hafizul, how many database doctor enough for comparison for Q1? I think, honestly speaking, Scopus and Web of Science actually more than enough, because those two are the most comprehensive databases that I believe more than enough. But some Web of Science papers Q1, I've seen it will go, let me show you the protocol before I get to this to answer this question. I think I already hide that slide. The amount of databases you can actually look at all this. Okay, these are all the kind of databases that you can look at. This one is more leaning towards medical sciences now, but here's a very good diagram. Just an expectation that you can think of if you really want to go really high flying PubMed, Embase, Scopus, Google Scholar, VHL, GHL, Cochrane, ISI, MRCT, Clinical Trial Popline, Seagull, and so on and so forth. So this is just a simple example of how far that a systematic review can go, how crazy it can get. Okay. So yeah, but for me, my experience Q1 so far, I think I only did Scopus and Web of Science. It was okay. When the reviewer asked us why only Web of Science and Scopus, that's what we explained. Every single journal under the sky, above the land, they are all mostly indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. That is the prospect of it. But sometimes business-related journals, business, accounting, economics, finance, and so on, they may also include ABDC, Australian Business Dean's Council. They may include that also. So yeah. No problem, doctor. No worries. So, if you have any engineering supervisors today or engineering academicians today, if you think that in engineering area review paper would not be suitable and so on, this is a prime example. This is coming from a PhD thesis at UTM. We work with the supervisors directly and the students also. We coach the students step by step. It was a technical PhD, but we migrated to a bit more social aspect of it, just to write a conceptual systematic review paper. So we looked at review on maintenance issues toward building maintenance management best practices. SCIQ1 impact factor 5.318, but now it's higher. I think it's already almost impact factor 6. So standard stuff, standard literature, standard protocol, and this is the conceptual framework. So when we listen conceptual framework, we'll be thinking, oh, conceptual framework has to be causal effect, has to be cause and effect diagram, the one that we use in quantitative, must have independent variable, must have mediator, moderator, and then DV. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Conceptual framework can be a conceptualization of the idea that you're trying to propose. If you can formulate that into a chart, into an infographic diagram, and so on, you can call that a conceptual framework of the solution you intend to propose. And that can be part of your review paper. You can park it. Every proposal from PhD or Masters, chapter 1 to 3, can be converted into a simple or even complex systematic review paper, can be. And that can be a first publication from proposal and thesis. This is what we've been experimenting quite widely for the past, I would say, 2 to 3 years now, when we started exploring a lot of review papers. Okay. So next thing is systematic review process. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We'll be going to the third part of it. I think we are 3:30 now. I think let's finish 1 or 2 slides, and then probably we can take about 5 minutes break. Okay. All right. Once we finish systematic scoping review, and then we can take about 5 minutes break lah. So systematic versus scoping review, it's a very important thing to understand. When it comes to systematic review, by written I wouldn't say written law lah, by the actual belief of Prisma process, if you really follow hardcore Prisma process, you can only review empirical papers, empirical journals. That is the natural requirement of systematic review papers. Okay, quantitative or qualitative. Okay, empirical journals. That is what's supposed to be part of your review prospect when it comes to systematic review. But then it got migrated into other subject areas. It got diluted. Then we can see in some systematic review, they also include review papers. Actually, you cannot. By right, you cannot include review papers as part of your review protocol in systematic review. Okay, it has to be hardcore empirical journals, clinical studies, RCT, and so on and so forth. I mean, if comes to other areas, it will be quantitative, qualitative lah, or experimental also should be okay. It is very methodologically driven, okay, and it's very narrowing concept. It builds a very, very, very narrow funnel when it comes to systematic review. That's the conceptualization of systematic review. That's why they came up with scoping review, okay, because people will be wondering, like, systematic review is so narrowing. How, if I don't even have any idea, I don't have any RQ, how do I start writing? That's where scoping review comes. Scoping review doesn't need any specific topic or very specific focus. It can be very broad. It can be very broad. You can include many kinds of resources. You can include public papers. You can include government papers, policy papers, white papers, books, review papers, empirical papers. All those can be a part of your review process. That's the beauty of scoping review. That's a scoping review. It takes the good part of systematic review because it has a protocol. And you can go broad like narrative review. So it combines both. So you don't have bias, you push away the bias, and you have a protocol, but you are also widely open to accept different kinds of papers. Dr. Noor, how about risk of bias for SLR? Can you suggest the best risk of bias for social science to measure? To be honest, I've never gone down to that level so far because no reviewers asked me to push to that level when it comes to bias questioning. Because from my experience, when I go through review process, because I learn based on review process, I only start improving and introducing new methods to reduce bias when they start questioning me. So, from my experience so far, when we follow the review process, when we build the protocol, very robust protocol, we follow the process, we do snowballing, we do forward snowballing, we do backward snowballing. Forward snowballing and backward snowballing is one of the important element to further reduce the bias. Okay, further reduce the bias. So best risk of bias, one way to further reduce it would be snowballing. So you can add that onto your protocol. Okay, so you do first layer filtration, you do your abstract keywords and abstract keyword title indexing or filtration, and then you do your full text article scanning filter, and then you do another round of snowballing. You take it in, you do another round of filtration. That is already a very well scaled filtration. Yes, scoping review owns Prisma. So this is called Prisma, just Prisma. For systematic review. For scoping review, it's called Prisma SCR. There is a separate Prisma item. So for systematic review, it's 27 items. For scoping review, it's 24 items. They have different Prisma requirements. Okay, doctors? So remember, so this is, we'll be going through all 27 items. Not going through, I'll be glancing through because to be honest to you, you don't need to, from my experience so far, we have worked on tens of thousands of papers already. Um Medical sciences, yes, they are very strict when it comes to 27 items, but they are quite robust. They actually hire another person to write the paper with them. Okay, they have to have another person. So when we work with medical public health department or the surgical department with or with IJN, we work with China, Nanjing University, Beijing University, and so on. They will appoint another person to do quality assessment when we work with them to coach or we will do the protocol and so on. They will have another person to do quality assessment. That's how rigid they can be when it comes to medical sciences. But every other area, I don't see them following all 27 items. Okay, that's why I'm going to show you today a much more simplified systematic review processes. Because if you're going to write a paper with 27 items, follow everything step by step, be crazy. Okay, by the time you finish writing the paper, I think it will take at least 1 year. Okay, so to all the participants, you can check the attendance link. RMIC has shared the link already. Please kindly fill up your attendance so that we can email the relevant notes. Okay, so let me just continue now. So now let's go to the methodologies part. So systematic review actually don't only have Prisma, they have other methods also. So what is the definition of Prisma? We always say Prisma, 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 but Prisma has its own definition. Okay, its acronym is basically preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Okay, so the protocol comes together with meta-analysis also, meta-analysis aspect of it lah. But you do not necessarily need to do meta-analysis. But if you are from medical area, then you are very prone to doing meta-analysis, medical health sciences area lah. It was first reported in 2009 by Prof. Mohe. Then recently, we also have an update already, Prisma 2020 released. I did a class on my Facebook Live on the differences between Prisma 2020 and Prisma 2009. So if you're interested to learn more, you can go and catch up my class in my Facebook playlist lah. There is also Ramses, 19 items. Prisma got 27. And then there is also another protocol for ROSES. So in case if you want your students to do a systematic review in their thesis, which is going to be quite complex, but can be done, the most suitable protocol compared to Prisma would be ROSES protocol. ROSES protocol is more or less something like scoping review. It was created by other parties lah. There are many people creating protocols. ROSES is one of it. It's more or less a scoping review. Okay. So how complex is Prisma? This is all Prisma. Okay, this is the first page. This is item 1 to 13. Even the item will have sub-items 13A, B, C, D, E, F, 10A, 10B. Basically, it's telling you how you must write every segment of your paper. Okay, what you must do in title, what you must do in abstract, what you must do in introduction. Okay, from my experience of working on many systematic review papers, I have found that you don't need to explicitly follow whatever they have stated here because this was designed for clinical studies. Okay, cancer studies, surgical studies, public health studies, and so on, immunology studies, and so on. So it's mostly related to clinical studies. So when you adapt Prisma into your own area, your own subject area, you don't need to follow 100%. That you can simplify this, okay? And this is further explanation on Prisma. So item 14 all the way to 27. So these are the amount of items you really need to focus. And if you see some of the items, you won't even understand what you need to report. You won't, sometimes it's very hard to understand what exactly they want. Okay, I've synthesized all of it, but it's not required to have all of this. So what I have done is I have came up with this. This is systematic literature review in 12 simple steps. Very, very easy, to, not very easy, in a more simplified approach in 12 simple steps. So basically, first thing you must have is a research question or problem. Okay, you can also state out your problem, what you're trying to investigate. Then step number 2, you do a preliminary search, or you can do your Prospero search, your RCIP search, and so on, or Google, even Google Scholar is good enough. To validate the idea, to assure none had done it before, to make sure that you are only one doing it, or the first one expanding into that particular review area. Why is that important? Because since it's a review paper, not empirical driven, um, we don't recognize it as an original research. So therefore, you must make sure there is no overlapping from other papers. Otherwise, publishing your review paper would be very, very tough. Okay, then you need to set inclusion-exclusion criteria based on your research question and preliminary research. Then build your search strategy. You can use your keywords, Boolean operators, and filters. You can also use your special operators, your asterisk, your quotation mark, and so on and so forth. Then decide on your databases. Usually it's Web of Science and Scopus. You can add in more as you wish, depending on your requirements. And then you can use Mendeley, EndNote, or Zotero to remove duplicates. This is the first step normally they will do when they're building the protocol. They will remove all the duplicates because same papers will come from various databases. Then you can write the protocol, which that diagram I shown earlier. Some topics, some research areas, you need to do ethical clearance as well. So from your protocol, you can do an ethical clearance if you want to. Then these 2 stages where you will start the filtration processes. So you can start screening your title, abstract, also your keywords based on the inclusion exclusion criteria you already set. Report the total selection in your protocol. Then you can move to full text after you already filtered. Let's say you got, after your search, you had 100 papers here. After you filter, you minus around 40 papers. You have balance 60 here. So these 60 papers, you'll go full text screening. You'll go top to bottom screening. After screening, you may minus another 30 papers. End up, you might only have 30 papers. Is it enough? It's actually more than enough. In a systematic review paper, it's actually more than enough. Because end of the day, we have to understand we have word limitation. Okay, word limitation. Most journals nowadays, they maintain anything between 4,000 to 8,000 words. Rarely you can find more than 10,000 words. Very rare. Okay, very rare. Especially open access journals, they limit their word count massively. So if you include too many papers in your review, then your discussion, everything will be very, very long. You'll have limitation in publishing the paper. So the length will be too long. So make it as concise as you can. Because the problem with systematic review is that you'll have a lot of diagrams. So you have to do a lot of table, a lot of charts, graphs, infographics, and so on. So the you can add additional step to further reduce or elevate the bias. You can do forward and backward snowballing with the 30 papers. You can go through the reference list, you can go to the citation that they have done, filter them through again, inclusion, exclusion, and then you can conduct quality assessment. Quality assessment usually conducted by another party. Okay, can be a co-author or can be someone very independent. You can report that as part of quality assessment. What is the quality assessment criteria? It depends on your subject area. You can look at prior systematic review papers in your area. You can check out what is the normal quality assessment categorically. Okay, then all of that done, you'll have a final number of papers that you can use. From there, you start reviewing all the selected papers and you can produce a literature matrix. Literature matrix is somewhat, I wouldn't say compulsory, but it's definitely good to have in a systematic review paper. It's definitely good to have, irrespective of your subject area. Okay, then comes selection of databases. How do we determine the databases? These are the three approaches. First, look at your prior systematic review papers. Look at what databases they used. And then always stick with databases that provides high impact research. Web of Science, Scopus, PubMed, ABDC, and all of this. You can also get supervisor and co-author advice. In Western countries, they also get advice from their librarians because librarians are very, 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 very good experts in literature review. That is one aspect of it. So this is the trifecta requirements when you want to decide databases, because sometimes you need to explain this in a paper. Then comes the inclusion exclusion criteria. Dr. Noor, for Q1 paper SRL, from your experience, any documents that we need to attach as support document? Sometimes they will ask your entire search string. Search string can be like one page sometimes. Huh? I don't know if I have the diagram here or not. Let me see if I have it here or not. There. No, 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 no. I don't have it here, but yeah. If I have time later, if I can find, I'll share it with you. Usually they'll ask the entire search string. Some search string can be as crazy as even one page. It'll be one page length. So usually from my experience, that's what they will ask from my experience. Anything else they will ask me. Yeah, I think that's about it. Normally they'll ask the search string, complete search string. They may ask for the Excel file also. Sometimes. That's why when we coach and consult papers, normally we will start with protocol first, and then protocol means all the inclusion, exclusion, all those information, and then we will build an Excel file. The Excel file will have individual tabs, which will tell you which databases got which papers and so on. So that evidently will prove that you actually go through the whole process to assure that you're not biased. Doctor, the date of search also should be included. Yes. You can include a search string table, or you can also include in your paragraphing. When you write down, you can explain the search had been done between, yes, part of the protocol, I forgot to mention, the years of search, definitely. So 10 years from when to when, 15 years. And another important thing I need to mention also, this is a very big mistake a lot of authors will do. After they write the systematic review paper, or even when a student writes systematic review paper, try to review as soon as possible and submit as soon as possible after proofreading. Because as you wait longer and longer, you do a lot of assessment, a lot of reading, a lot of revision, and so on. Let's say you take 6 months, 7 months. Some papers I've seen they wait for 8 months, even 1 year also before they submit. Your protocol is expiring already. Maybe the keywords you need to change already, or maybe there are more papers in system now. So the reviewers will ask you, go apply the protocol again, redo the whole thing again. see whichever papers you missed out, add all of them again. Because at the time that the paper reached the reviewers, it's already more than, let's say you wait for 1 year, let's say you wait for 6 months. Lah. Okay, let's say worst case scenario, 6 months. Lah. You submit only, not journal will accept directly. We all know that. Again, we all go through a lot of rejections. Rejection is where we learn a lot. And nowadays, rejection, even worse, they reject at editor's desk itself. They don't even give us any opportunity to talk. Editor reject. They will say out of scope. So when you face that situation, by the time you get to the review, it will take another 6 months. So yeah, sometimes it will take 4 months or even 6 months by the time you submit, reject, and so on. That is already 1 year. So when the reviewer gets it, some reviewer will type in the search string, they will search. And then they will see more newer papers. And then they will ask you to revise the whole paper, include all of those also. That is a complete waste of time. Okay, so therefore, as soon as you finish systematic review, let's say your students finishing, get the paper, review. If you think it needs to be improved, get them to improve it as soon as possible and proofread and submit fast so that more papers don't come into repository. Okay, I mean into databases. Okay, so coming to inclusion exclusion criteria here. This is one example of a topic I can show you. Educational impact of being a young carer for age 16 to 24. Just a sample topic lah. So this inclusion criteria, we only selected young carers aged 16 to 24 and education from the title lah. And then we excluded foster care children in care looked after children. This is from a sample paper. So what happens here? This one, this kind of inclusion only having two criteria, the precision will be very, very high. You don't need to worry about the formulation. I'll explain. The precision will be very, very high. However, the sensitivity will be super low, super low. What it means in this aspect, technically what it means. Okay. When you have very high precision, you'll precisely get the papers that is within your purview only, like very, very spot on. But you will get very little papers. When sensitivity is low, you'll get very little papers. Let's say your keywords, let's say this is your subject topic area, okay? There will be papers that will go out of your search magnet. I call that magnet lah, out of search magnet. So when your inclusion criteria is very rigid, yeah, you only will get papers within this prospect. You will miss out the papers here. You miss out the papers here, 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 here. But the problem is, if you open up too much, if you reduce your precision by adding more inclusion criteria, you will start going into this region. When you go into this region, okay, this region, you will start getting more sensitivity, more papers, and sensitivity will increase, but your precision will reduce. What will happen then? You will start getting papers that might not be very relevant to you, but that's okay. That is also okay. Depends on how much papers you want to report lah. If you want to report more papers, then you increase more factors. You will go into this region, including this one, definitely you go lah, but you also go here. So then your filtration must be more robust. You will do a bit more extra work to filter out the unnecessary papers. Okay, so that is the theory of search lah. This is how search works. So always bear in mind the inclusion and exclusion criteria is what decides this. Okay. Once you, this one you can share it with your student if you want to. You can download the template from my Telegram group. Once you already finish the search process, this template can be used to summarize every paper when you or your student reads. I've already created all the factors required. This can be modified. You can find the Word version, okay, in the Telegram group. So when they summarize, they can summarize all this. I'm not saying that this is necessary. Some people just summarize into literature matrix directly to cut short the work. This is a lot of work. But if you want like proper details, you can use this template to summarize. Okay, this is a summary template. And once you summarize the template, every column here can become a row in literature matrix. Every column will become a row. And you can build up the literature matrix. Literature matrix itself will stretch more than 2 to 3 pages sometimes. Okay, so that is the role of literature matrix lah. Okay, so that is the entire process of systematic review if you follow the 12 steps to get it done. and I've given you all the tips and hints how you can quickly design your inclusion exclusion criteria. You can improve precision or reduce your precision so that you increase sensitivity and go to market as soon as possible. When I say go to market means go to publication arena as soon as possible. Don't sit on systematic review too long. I've seen papers where they sit on it for almost a year, and then once they submit, the reviewer will ask to redo everything because more papers are already in the system. Okay, now going to AI for thesis and journals. Okay, this is a very famous topic that most universities want to look at now. So I include that as part of the prospect today. However, I'm not gonna talk about the good part about AI today. I'm gonna talk about the problem of AI. Okay, especially ChatGPT lah. Okay, so the problem with most AI tools, I would say many lah, got Eclipse lah, got Site AI lah, and so on and so forth. The problem with those kind of tools is that the access of database. Okay, this is what most people don't know, but most AI apps, they don't get the API, application protocol interface, from most of the databases here. They won't get from Web of Science, they won't get from Scopus, and definitely Science Direct won't give them. Okay, so when you don't get Web of Science, you don't get Scopus, you don't get Science Direct, end up you'll only get the normal journals. You might get Emerald, you might get InterScience, these kind of journals will go into the database. So most of the AI tools out there, if you search, you won't comprehensively look at papers from Elsevier, Taylor Francis, Wiley, and so on and so forth. That is a very big problem which people don't realize. What happens then? You'll be looking at irrelevant materials or very low impact papers or no impact at all for that matter. So this is something that we need to highlight. That's why we created a database template, which you can use this to access all the databases. This is a live PDF, can be downloaded from my Telegram also. So I've already split according to subject area. So this one includes all subject databases, all of this. Then we got medical, we got engineering, and then we got social sciences. Okay. So now coming to ChatGPT. So I did a lot of experiment with ChatGPT. I published a lot of videos on TikTok. So if you are interested to look it up. So this is my my pages, my page and all my videos. So I have a specific playlist on ChatGPT, Quillbot, and AI apps. So if you want to know how effective it is, you can visit this particular playlist, or you can go through all the videos here, which are all 100% education related, postgraduate and research related. Let me share the link. Forgot to share that. That's my TikTok link in case if you're active on TikTok. So I think most of you are aware, this one I created specifically for students, but in case if you want to also understand this. So I used ChatGPT purposefully to create an introduction on a topic. This is the topic. So I create introduction. I went through 2018 scan. I went through AI scanning. Okay, let me tell a bit about AI scanning. If you scan AI, this is our experiment. If your students get less than 15 or 20%, you can ignore. You can ignore. It's false positive. There are many factors when it comes to 2018 AI. Less than 20%, less than 15%, it's false positive. You don't need to bother. Don't think that the student actually using AI to write everything. It can be very, very much false. But when it hits more than 20%, that's where you need to be worried. Okay, that if you bother about people using AI to write everything and so on. It depends on individual actually. So here is a document that I get ChatGPT to write it for me 100%, and then we scan, turn it in, then it picks up quite well AI because ChatGPT, which is an extension of OpenAI. OpenAI is the engine has already given direct access to Turnitin. So Turnitin can directly access its server to understand how it works. And also, please remember, since the inception of this, please don't use ChatGPT to proofread or paraphrase your write-up. The moment you do that, the moment you insert your writing here, this abang here will store the information here, and this fellow have direct access to it. So from what I've heard from people, lah, I've never personally did because most of my write-ups are all quite precious. I cannot put them in experiment. But I had academicians, I think a couple of them, few of them from UiTM, Kedah, few of them UPM, and few of them from UTN, where they use ChatGPT to proofread. The proofread version also highlighted by AI, and the original version also highlighted by AI. That means the original version they put in for proofreading, the original version also already flagged by AI, the output also flagged by AI. So they cannot use both. So the obviously proofread version they can scrap it, but the original version they have to paraphrase everything back. So that is the risk lah, that you need to face. Then the same write up that I did here, I used Quillbot to paraphrase. I tried to use Quillbot to paraphrase and see whether it actually works or not based on my experiment. Even after using Quillbot, we did 4 rounds. I had a video of that doing live experiment, 4 rounds. From 100%, same write up, I pushed into Quillbot. It came down to 94% first round. Then 94% I insert again, right, rerun second layer. It came down to 92%. Then I run the third layer, it became 89%. This is 89% right here. Then I run the fourth round, if I'm not mistaken, fourth round, it went back to 92%, saturated already. It cannot reduce, push down anymore. What is the reason? Because as far as I heard from people, they won't reveal this lah. For from people, they are also using either GPT-3 or GPT-4 framework when they want to paraphrase. So everything ties back to Turnitin. Everything is linked back to Turnitin lah. So that's why Quillbot slowly becoming irrelevant, or any other paraphrasing software for that matter. Yeah, so this is what my experiment revealed. And another important thing, if you realize from most ChatGPT videos, this is where actually I realized, okay, ChatGPT output, even if you go for ideation, you go and get ideas, or you get the flow to tell you the critical part of it, whatever lah, you have to understand that that flow can give you about 90 to 95% false information. False, huh? Fake, literally fake information. So this is where I found out from YouTube videos actually. Okay, where people tell that they cannot find any of the citations or references from ChatGPT. That is what I found out. So then I digged in further. The logic here is very simple. Why the flag has to give fake citation? Because the flag is getting resources from everywhere, except it cannot get resources for publications, because publications are mostly, of course, we always look at Elsevier, we look at Taylor and Francis, we look at Wiley, we look at Sage, IEEE, what else? You look at PLOS, PLOS is open access, so you leave PLOS. We look at Emerald and so on, right? So these are all top-notch journals that we commonly look at, we commonly read and review. But what is significant about these journals? They have a blockade. Why? Because they don't allow you to access. They are all free journals, right? So what happened to our universities? Our universities actually pays a big chunk of money so that you can access these journals. Example, Elsevier is a $6 billion cap company. It's a publicly listed company like Elsevier. The capping market cap is about 6 or 7 billion, I think. Most of its income comes from subscription. Most of its income, all universities in the world. So open access, I think all of you know this. Open access charges upfront, MDPI, Frontiers, and so on. They charges upfront, so university don't pay them. This business model, they are subscription basis, so university pays them. So therefore, they completely block so that GPT, Google Bard, all this kind of software cannot access them. They cannot access, because the moment they can access and read all the content, our universities here will cut the funding. They will cut the payment, because you can get for free. They'll go straight here for free. Why they want to pay so much, millions and millions of ringgit and dollars to subscribe? So therefore, this they really go acid. They iron tight it so that these people can access. Then my question to all people who are using ChatGPT rationally, where do the idea comes from? It comes from very old books. GPT, the last round, as far as I know, they only updated up to 2021. I think recently they updated, but I'm not so sure. And then you get all the information. On top of that, they're all from books and public resources and so on. You don't actually get from actual publications, ideas, write-ups, and so on. That's the problem with ChatGPT. And on top of that, most of it are fake. All right. So this is something I wanted to raise awareness today. So this is something that you can also share with your students. uh, I think by the time you read the write-up itself, you can know already that this is GPT or this is actual people write-up. So we all love AI, but academic research is not Wikipedia writing. We all know that we are bound by facts, precise information, ethics, problem solving, improving the world based on facts and actual research care. That is the limitation of AI, but I'll be having another class in December where I'll be sharing a very, very, very good tool under AI. The flow don't write for you, the flow don't read the paper for you, but the flow give you very good search result. It's very convenient to build your matrix with that particular app. It's called Lead Map. Very good tool. It's something like connected papers, but more comprehensive. Their background, they use Semantic Scholar. Okay, Semantic Scholar. So it's a very good tool. A very good tool. Okay, this one we can skip. So now going to the final part of it already, we're almost finishing, final segment. So as a summary of what I've shared today, what are the papers that potentially supervisors, such as all the participants today, if you want to strategize publications from proposal and thesis, first phase, you can strategize from chapters 1 to 3. Okay, you can plan out concept paper directly from chapter 1 to 3. Scoping review paper, you can scope out from the 10 pages initial proposal a student will write. You can actually convert that into a paper. We have experimented that, can be published. SLR paper can come directly from chapter 2. This can be different from this. They can be, and I wouldn't say entirely, there will be some overlapping, but they will be different objective or common goal will be different. This one will be showing the solution. This will be talking about the whole arena itself, the whole area that you're looking into. Okay, that itself you can easily produce two papers already. Okay, then as you maneuver to chapter 4 and 5, or your students through analysis and so on, you can definitely produce as many empirical papers as you want. Then you can also dive into SLR with meta-analysis. You can introduce the element of meta-analysis. That can be dedicated publications also. Then from the future work, which your next student will take over, before the next student takes over, you can also write a scoping review paper for the future work, where it's heading towards. That can be a scoping review paper. All right, so these are the number of papers. Actually, if you really squeeze out the content from a thesis, potentially, I wouldn't say definitely can, but potentially you can write this number of papers from a thesis and proposal. Okay, this one we can skip. Okay, so how far can review papers from PhD thesis or master's thesis can go for high impact review papers? This is a paper from UTM. We worked on this quite some time ago. Q1 impact factor 16.799. It was published in Elsevier Renewable and Sustainable Energy Reviews, but it used narrative review. Those days, like I said, those days when we started experimental review papers, back in 2014 or 2015, I started. Narrative review was still relevant. Okay, nowadays, I don't think it's that relevant anymore. It's ranked number 1 out of 47, this particular paper. This was from UPM, Dr. Bernard, on food science. Q1 impact factor 16, ranked number 2, narrative review also. Then 3 years back, we worked on this paper, Q1 impact factor 10.8. This is a conceptual review based on narrative review. This one is still until now surprise for me how we managed to get this into Wiley Journal. Then this one is a bit more recent. This is where we started migrating to systematic review. We went on to publish systematic conceptual review, Q1 impact factor 7.1, ranked number 9 out of 138. So this is how far a review paper can go. But having said that, is it good to aim for systematic review paper of science? I will say better keep, from my point of view, better keep, I won't discourage, you can, definitely can go, but it's a lot of struggle. I'm coming up with a workshop soon to formulate a template for Web of Science systematic review paper. However, for a start, you can aim for Scopus first and keep empirical papers for Web of Science. As you evolve in the systematic review writing process, you can gradually move to Web of Science. Okay? How important is proofreading? Human-based proofreading, not Grammarly-based. This is Dr. Harold's paper. Okay, one of his, I think now we are clocking at 18th paper with Dr. Hero's paper. He started back in 2019. This is what we do as part of paraphrasing, proofreading, editing, and structuring. This is what the paper went through. Okay, this is what Grammarly cannot do that we can do. Okay, the amount of depthness that we go through there and how we build the narration through the paper, that actually carries a lot of weightage. And most of Dr. Hero's paper always goes through minor revision, and most of the systematic review paper anyway. So that's our experience so far lah. And for those students of your any students who are writing proposal thesis and so on, we do offer ultimate thesis package, which offers up to 30% off for proofreading, translation, formatting services. For journals, we offer up to 10 and 20% off when it comes to proofreading, proofreading, not paraphrasing, proofreading. And that whatever the moment that we do proofreading and paraphrasing, it comes automatically with lifetime language warranty, so you don't need to worry if the reviewer's going to say, oh, language needs improvement and so on. We will recheck for free, provided no changes were made. If changes were made, then the terms will change lah. Okay, and obviously will come with professional proofreading certificate. And today's class, I'm going to provide all these free notes, developing and applying a protocol for systematic review in social sciences, soft and hard TQM practices. And this is a sample review paper if you want to go through. If you want to write a very good paper, you can follow 100% how they've done it. And if you want your students to write systematic review for chapter 2, which is actually very complex, but if you really want to go down that path, then ask them to follow Rose's reporting standards. This is another protocol similar to Prisma. Okay, so on our consulting end, we don't only consult students, we also consult professors directly, full professors, especially on publication arena. So what do we do under our consulting vertical? We always look into publication content editing, Scopus and Web of Science. We coach students, PhD and masters from proposal all the way to defense. And while doing that, we also sometimes work with supervisors to plan out what are the journals that they'll be able to write, proposal defense and thesis, mock defense and mock viva, and how to respond to examiners. And finally, data analysis and interpretation. This is something that we do across the stretch, including empirical papers and up to ministry level also we do data analysis. And these are some of the upcoming live classes. So in case if you're interested to do literature matrix as part of the effort today that you want to do systematic review, you can join my upcoming classes. I'll be moving this particular class as I have a data analysis meeting with Ministry of Education. So this 8 November class I'll be moving. But if you want to join and learn literature review matrix with Google Scholar, there's a shortcut to do literature review matrix with Google Scholar and also with LeadMap AI. You can register yourself for the classes here, which I'll conduct on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. 3 different platforms. Here are the links. Okay. So with that, this is where we are located in Cyberjaya. So anytime if you want to drop by, please feel free. I was in UPSI, I think 2 months ago. I was teaching workshop, Q1 journal publication for Faculty of Communications. Yes. So anytime if you come over, you want to come and visit, you want to discuss about publications and so on, please feel free to visit. But please set prior appointment. This is where you can find us in Cyberjaya. And with that,